Our story takes place in the city of Thneedville. This town is completely man-made. Not a hint of nature anywhere, cause some asshole polluted everything. Thneedville is controlled by a man named Alois O'Hare, this dumpy little guy here, who was a self-proclaimed zillionaire and got rich by selling people fucking air. Very dystopian, I know. At one point, they even sell bottled air like it's water, which is almost as fucked up as the Epstein files. But at least no minors get raped in this story, Jeffrey. And so we meet Ted, a young teenage boy who has the hots for this girl, Audrey, a curious little ginger who wants nothing more than to see a tree.
I would really like to see a tree.
Oh, isn't she just the cutest? Too bad trees don't exist anymore, little girl. Your parents conceived you too late. Anyways, Ted, being the performative male that he is, says that it would be his honor, nay, his duty, to find a tree for her, despite the fact that no one else gives a shit. Not even him. Looks like Ted's trying to plant his own seed, if you know what I'm saying. After accepting this quest RPG style, Ted learns from his gram that a man named the Onceler may know where to find a tree. Ted then leaves the confined walls of Thneedville into what I can only describe as a complete fuckhole. Seriously? How does anyone live out here? But someone does live out here, and that someone is the Onceler, or Oncey as I like to call him. After some begging, Oncey tells Ted a story of his past, one where he set out to create an invention that would change the world. And in this flashback, you can see that the Onceler was once a very optimistic young man, which is extremely strange, given that his own family doesn't have any faith in him at all, something he later on alludes to.
Hey, I love this guy!
But you always said I wouldn't amount to anything, remember?
Since this story happens over multiple sessions, because I guess Onceler is now old and lazy, Ted has to go back to town where O'Hare threatens him about leaving again, because he knows Ted is looking for trees, and trees produce air for free, which is just bad for business. Looks like our man Alois O'Hare here is just greedy. Anyways, Ted doesn't listen, as all teenage boys tend not to when girls are involved, and skips town to hear the rest of Oncey's story. Oncey eventually comes across the material he needs for his invention, and he gets to work by capping his first truffula tree. However, this starts an event I'm going to call the Lorax agenda, since this is where he is summoned to defend the trees. The Lorax is this fat, orange, furry jellybean looking creature who is this world's version of eco-warriors. When Oncey initially ignores the Lorax's warnings, that orange ball of fuzz ends up making his life a living hell. At one point, he sets Oncey floating on the river, most likely hoping that he'll fall down the waterfall to an extremely violent death. The only reason he abandons this is because he realizes that one of the forest creatures are on the raft as well. I'm fairly confident here that the Lorax really didn't mind committing murder for the sake of the forest. Just like how feminists defend abortion. Bada bing bada boom. They're all saved, and Oncey and the Lorax come to an agreement about tree conservation. Go Team Trees! During this time, Oncey attempts to sell his Thneed, encountering a whole bunch of dicks along the way. Despite all his initial optimism, Oncey gives up after about a week and literally throws his dream away. Fortunately for him though, this turns into the opportunity he's been hoping for, much to the Lorax's trepidation. We also get one banger of a song here. So, at this point, Oncey wants to ramp production up, so for some inexplicable reason, he calls his asshole family to help him out. And while Oncey is an extremely optimistic person, he's definitely not stupid, so I assume he chooses to ignore all the negativity he gets from his family. Cause like Dom Toretto from Fast and the Furious taught us, it's all about family.
I don't have friends. I got family.
So they come, and immediately they want to speed up production to meet demand. But there's a problem. Oncey's agreement with the Lorax means that he cannot cut the trees down. However, his terrible life giver emotionally manipulates him into changing his stance on this, and we then see the Onceler turn into a complete psychopath. You know, kind of like how his mother already is, which of course is expressed through song.
Who cares if a few trees are dying?
It then becomes apparent that Oncey doesn't understand the concept of sustainability, as all his lopping and chopping eventually leads to the extinction of truffula trees. Once that happens, the Lorax shows up one final time to rub his nose in it, and Oncey finally sees the error of his ways. There's also this infuriating scene where his family officially disowns him once the money runs out.
son. You have let me down. Brett, you are now my favorite child.
Fuck, I've never wanted to kill someone so much in my life. This is where Once ends the story, and gives Ted the last truffula seed, as a way to redeem himself for fucking everything up. Ted proceeds to take the seed to show Audrey, since he knows that it will make her wetter than a faulty freezer. But O'Hare is on his trail, which culminates in a race across town to get the seed. Finally, the chase ends, with both Ted and O'Hare trying to sway public opinion like a couple of corrupt politicians. Big ups to Cy the delivery guy here. His song is ultimately the last push needed to get Ted over the line with the townspeople. So they say a big fuck you to O'Hare, and everybody's happy and singing Kumbaya. The ending comes full circle, with Once watering the small trees and Lorax returning to dap him up for putting in that work.